Why did I finally let my bully copy my answers without stopping him? I was the most invisible 8th grader at Westfield Middle School until I fell into the crosshairs of Brayden. You know the type, the golden boy with that perfect smile teachers fall for. The kind of guy who could get away with anything because everyone loved him too much to notice. And that's exactly what he did. Since December, Brayden had turned me into his personal supply store with his daily "got a spare pen" routine, and by February I'd gone through 3 full packs of Bics that never came back. When I switched to cheaper ones, he actually had the nerve to complain. "These cheap ones again? They smudge, you know," he'd say, while pocketing them anyway. But the pen theft was just the appetizer to his full-course meal of making my life miserable, because Brayden didn't just want my supplies, he wanted my work too. During every test, I'd feel him lean over just enough to see my paper, copying my answers with the confidence of someone who'd never been caught. And the worst part was he was right, because teachers loved him too much to notice. When we got our practice test results back and his scores matched mine perfectly, Mrs. Kim actually praised him for his improvement, and I bit my tongue so hard it bled. But stealing my answers wasn't enough for Brayden. The mockery started around the same time, with Brayden telling everyone I walked like a penguin, then upgraded to calling me goat, because my eyes were apparently too far apart for his aesthetic preferences. By March, he told everyone I'd begged him to date me, and wouldn't take no for an answer, complete with fake screenshots he'd somehow created. And suddenly, I was the desperate girl who couldn't accept rejection. Random 7th graders would make goat noises at me in the hallways while making kissing sounds, and I'd keep walking with my head down, counting the days until exams would end this nightmare. I'll never forget the day in the cafeteria when Brayden loudly asked, "Yo, Sarah, why the long face?" "Oh wait, that's just your face." His buddy Jake chimed in, "Nah, she looks more like a goat, bro," and they erupted in laughter. 20 kids turned to stare at me standing there with my lunch tray, frozen, feeling my cheeks burn as Brayden grinned like he'd won something. Then came the moment that broke something inside me, when Mrs. Kim announced to the entire class, "Brayden, why don't you move your seat next to Sarah? You focus so much better there, and she's such a good influence on your work." She literally sanctioned his cheating by putting him right next to me, and Brayden's smirk told me he knew exactly what gift he'd just been given. For the next few weeks, I endured his cheating with a front row seat. Then, the night before our final math exam that would determine whether we got into high school, I sat in my room staring at my desk drawer where I kept random stuff from over the years, and that's when I saw it. The joke pen from a book fair 2 years ago. Disappearing ink, right now, gone tomorrow. The label screamed in bright tacky letters, and I remembered buying it for $3 thinking it would be funny for April Fools or something. The pen looked completely normal otherwise, just a basic black ballpoint that could pass for any generic pen. I picked it up and something clicked in my brain. This wasn't just a forgotten gag gift anymore. This was justice. I spent 10 minutes carefully removing the label with acetone and a razor blade, making sure no residue remained, then tested it on scrap paper to confirm the ink really did vanish after a day like the package claimed. The next morning, I held yesterday's test paper up to the window and smiled at the blank page that had been full of equations 12 hours ago, then tucked the trick pen into the front pocket of my bag where I usually kept his daily donation. Sure enough, 8:47 a.m. when we sat down, Brayden appeared beside my desk. "Got a spare pen?" he asked, same entitled tone as always. I handed over the prepared pen with the same defeated expression I'd perfected over months of this ritual. "Legend," he said with that condescending smirk, pocketing it like I owed him. During the exam, I positioned my paper at just the right angle where Brayden could see it clearly from his teacher-sanctioned seat, and for the first time all year, I didn't bother shielding my answers with my arm. My heart was pounding as I worked through each problem methodically, taking my time with the calculations and making sure my handwriting was neat and readable, practically inviting him to copy every number and equation. Brayden took the bait beautifully, his pen moving in perfect synchronization with mine as he transcribed my answers. An hour of him furiously copying my work while I pretended not to notice. And when the exam ended, Brayden actually looked relieved, probably thinking he'd just secured another stolen pass, completely unaware that every answer he'd written was already fading into nothing. I watched him hand in his paper with a satisfied smile, and I had to bite my lip to keep from grinning. Results came in August, and the universe delivered. I passed and got into high school while Brayden failed math with a completely blank paper. His dad spent hours at the school district office screaming about system errors, while Brayden swore he'd written every answer, but he never suspected the pen. He had to repeat 8th grade while I moved on to high school.